All right, folks, a very good evening to each and every one of you. And we're coming to you live this evening from outside of the GECOM High Street location, where a number of things are happening here. And it's been a fast pace and fast moving evening. Just behind me, a number of WIN supporters have gathered here, a number of APNU supporters have gathered here, and also a number of the PPP supporters have gathered here as well. And this all concerns the recount that is happening for Region 4. As you know, the APNU has submitted a request that was approved by GECOM for recount of Region 4. We're being told also one was submitted for Region 5 as well, a recount for Region 5 as well. Region 7, I am told as well, is going to be recounted. And I heard folks are calling for Region 10 to be recounted as well. So, folks, these are some of the issues that we are following here this evening. Just behind us, as I said, a number of People's Progressive Party supporters have gathered out here. A number of WIN supporters, a number of APNU supporters are gathered out here as well. And we'll get to exactly why that is happening outside of the larger issue of the recount that is on the way. As you know, we're winding down the general and regional elections of 2025. And that has brought these supporters of the major parties in this country outside here at GECOM this evening, no doubt wanting a democracy to prevail and wanting every vote to count. Now, we have discovered a number of things that we've been wading through some of these issues here as well, as we've been wading through some of the data that this the general and regional elections have thrown up at us. We are following them. A number of irregularities, and it's not just us who are saying this. If you listen, for instance, to the CARICOM observer mission, if you listen to the Commonwealth observer mission, the European Union delegation there observer mission, you also have the Carter Center, who have also raised a number of issues, and some of that pertains to why we are here this evening. As I said, just behind me, a number of People's Progressive Party civic supporters are gathered here. A number of We Invested Nationhood supporters are gathered here as well. And a number of also the APNU supporters are out here as well. This recount is on for Region 4. There's a large recount area, different stations set up to get through this as fast as possible. And that is why the folks have gathered here this evening. And we'll get to some of that in just a little bit. But as you come on this evening, as you join us, we ask you folks to share the broadcast. Folks, as we always say, share the live, smash that emoji button for us, please, and thank you. And if you can, partner with us as well. We want as many persons to get the valid and credible information as possible. A number of their supporters are gathered out here, and things got pretty tense a little earlier. Things got very tense a little earlier, and I think that is why That is why persons from these political parties have been converging here at the GECOM High Street location. Now, I think we are the start by where is Claudette Singh. We have not heard in this entire electoral process, I think right from about the 25th day of August, when GECOM held that press conference and the chairman was present there looking very, very frail, we have not seen and we have not heard from GECOM chairman Claudette Singh for the entirety of this period. Ballots have been cast. I remember the press conference that was held on September 1, the evening of September 1. That press conference was attended only, that press conference was attended only by the public relations officer of GECOM, Yolanda Ward. And we have not had another press conference, if I remember correctly, since then. And we have not seen, we have not heard from the chairman of GECOM, Claudette Singh. I remember at that press conference, the question was posed, did she go around to different polling stations for the day? The PRO for GECOM, Ms. Ward, could not say that. The chief vote, the PRO from GECOM could not say that. And that is the question we are asking this evening as well. Where is the chairman of GECOM? Again, if we remember the COI we had a short while ago, a few months ago, it ended a few months ago. A lot of blame was placed at the chairman's feet. A lot of things seem to, quote unquote, allegedly happen on her watch. A lot of things, and here we are again going through the paces of another general and regional elections, and the chairman has not made an appearance for the last week, the last 2 weeks, and that is very, very interesting. Now, I don't know. I haven't heard I haven't heard the People's Progressive Party Civic raise that as an issue, but it's as a concern to quite a few other stakeholders. Where is the chairman of GECOM? Where is the chairman of GECOM? So that is one of the first things I want to begin with this evening by asking that question to GECOM officials who I know are going to be watching us. Where is the chairman of GECOM, Claudette Singh? Now, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. Where is GECOM? Now, we're going to get to what really and truly has brought us here. They said a number of afternoon supporters are here, a number of WIN supporters, a number of the PPP supporters are gathered here as well, as there was a little commotion. There was a commotion here a short while ago, which prompted us to be here as well and not to bring this broadcast to you from the studio, but folks trying to piece together exactly what is happening in this electoral cycle. And we understand that the incumbent government, we understand that the incumbent government would love us to say it was free and fair and all of that kind of election, but questions have been asked. And you know, I appreciate what I saw academic Sidney Armstrong said today, because it is worthy of conveying to you folks. An academic Sidney Armstrong, an economist Sidney Armstrong said, you know, when in 2020 a recount was asked for, nobody said it was a waste of time from the PPP. Nobody said we were wasting resources and all of that, and that recount was granted. So why now? There is all this lamentation, as it were, as to this recount and the veracity of this recount. This is part of the electoral process. It is catered for in law, and you know, this is what is required. If people have doubts about what has happened, doubts about the numbers, doubts about the processes, and that is what we see happening in the main headquarters here for GECOM on High Street. As I said, a number of the APNU supporters are here. A number of the People's Progressive Party supporters are here as well at the GECOM headquarters, and this is what is happening here tonight, folks. A number of the We Invest in Nationhood supporters, WIN supporters are here as well. A number of the People's Progressive Party Civic, their supporters are gathered here as well, folks. And we are watching events here on High Street on the apron of the Ghana Elections Commission. The street has effectively been blocked off to go closer to GECOM, and so there's a mixture of all of these supporters keeping safe distance, no doubt. Keeping safe distance, no doubt. But folks, these are the events that are happening this evening. But I want to walk you through a couple of things before we come so exactly what transpired here a little bit earlier. I want to run you through some of the things that have made the news today over the last 24 hours, 48 hours. And we learned, thank you for the folks in the studio who are helping us this evening. We learned overnight that national cyclist Alonzo Graves, uh, Alonzo Graves lost his life in a motorcycle accident in Durban Backlands, just behind the gardens. Just in that area there, we learned that he lost control of his motorcycle. It's the second time in recent years he was involved in a motorcycle accident, and sadly didn't fare too well this time, and lost his life. As a result of that, our thoughts and our prayers are with his family. As you know, Mr. Graves made national headlines quite recently when he allegedly took a photograph of his ballot and posted it on social media. Alonzo Graves, famed national cyclist, and lost his life coming around at the back of the botanical gardens last evening, early in the wee hours of this morning. And again, we want to say our thoughts and our prayers go out to his family. We're also following this other story of this woman from Commons Lodge who was stabbed by her husband, and later the husband allegedly was involved in some kind of arson and lost his life overnight as well. These are some of the events, some of the issues as well we wanted to bring to you as we begin our broadcast this evening. We are following this horrific incident happened in Commons Lodge, and the man had since been warded, I think, at the Georgetown Public Hospital, and he succumbed to his injuries over the last 24 hours. So we are watching that as well, and I'm making sure I'm saying that I save this sense too. Can't be too careful because, you know, in a political environment like this, things can go from a 0 to a 60 very, very, very fast. But in addition to this, our brother from HGP Nightly News, Travis Chase, he has sued the Guyanese critics for over $15 million for defamation for something that critics said in one of his broadcasts. As you know by now, critics perhaps is the most sued Guyanese in the history of Guyanese being sued. He has been sued by a number of persons who have won judgments against him. And here we have veteran, popular news anchor, popular journalist, veteran journalist Travis Chase, who also is suing critics for defamation, injury to his character, spelled out in, I think, a 24, if not larger, for document in how his reputation has been injured by these defamatory comments that was made by the Guyanese critics online on one of his broadcasts. So, folks, just a couple other things we are following, and I just, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I ran into Mr. Chase a short while ago out here as well. In other news, other news that we are following this evening, bear with us as we make sure that we are on the right track. Yeah. So, Travis Chase there suing the Guyanese critics for defamation. Yet another lawsuit that the Guyanese critics is faced with. In other news, the Vice President Barjagnew held his press conference today, and I guess you guys would know if you're reading the headlines there who this headline belongs to. This is Jagnew. The headline read, "Reminds parliamentarians that they lack immunity." Now, this is a shot across the bow to Ashruddin Mohammed, who, for all intents and purposes, is going to be a parliamentarian in the 13th Parliament. That number there, 13. Very interesting. I was privileged to serve as a member of the 12th Parliament, and I look forward to being in the 13th Parliament as well. Just had to stick that in there. So, well, none of us. This is not only parliamentarians on the other side of the political aisle, but no parliamentarian has immunity. You know, no parliamentarian has immunity, and perhaps we should have as part of the legislative agenda, part of the legislative agenda, that presidents and former presidents should not have immunity as well. You should have to give an account, whether at the ballot box or in the court system, for your actions. So some folks tend to do a lot of things under the auspices of the office of the president, knowing that that office holder has immunity. You know, yeah, they take a lot of liberties there. And so, folks, some of the things that we are watching tonight, some of the issues that we are watching tonight, I seem to be going all of them. Let me see if I appear better on this side. Right? Try not to be blocked out by the graphic. But folks, that is what we have this evening. Some of what we're following. There's some other political stories I want to get to as we continue to monitor what is happening outside here at GECOM High Street location. There was a little promotion earlier, and I want to get to that in short order. But first, I heard about landslide victories today. Now that's pretty interesting. That is very, very interesting. These landslide victories. Folks in studio, help us just go back one place for us. These landslide victories. Now, if we were supposed to have 100 persons voting and only 10 voted, and you get 6 and the rest is split up among the other folks, I guess you could call that a landslide, because in this election of 2025, the Guyanese electorate had one of the lowest turnout. And we were following some analysis by the Kaitro newspaper today, which suggested that over 260,000 Guyanese stayed home. About 260,000 Guyanese did not vote. As I said, events are fast moving here. So, what is a landslide? What is a landslide if less than 50% of the electorate voted? Right? We should start on the premise that you would need at least to cross over the threshold of 50% of the electorate, those eligible to vote, eligible, enfranchised. Maybe we should start there. So we find this a little ludicrous, but it's one of the things we are following, and more than that, we are also following, folks. These are the headlines: that thousands of ballots were rejected. And that's what we're finding out in this process that is unfolding behind us here at the GECOM High Street location. We've been told close to 5,000 ballots were rejected. Now, I was conferring with the electoral experts just this afternoon, and they were telling us that rejected and spoiled are two different things. Right? I hope we can stand on that. Rejected and spoiled ballots are two different things. Right? Somebody who and they were making the walking us through the logics of it. Now, rejected, spoiled, whatever it is, close to 5,000 ballots being set aside like this that's just crazy. It's not like a seat. It's not like a whole seat. So when we saw this information, we saw also that part of the reasoning here is that perhaps greater voter education, and then perhaps we won't have to argue the X in the box at the side, at the top, at the bottom, where the X is. Perhaps just a greater voter education, and that has to be one of the signal areas in this whole election 2025 general regional elections, where GECOM has fallen down. There has not been a consistent electoral education program over the 5 years. When elections are on the horizon, then these boys kind of are kicked into motion. So thousands, close to 5,000 ballots were rejected in the 2025 general and regional elections. That sounds a little thingish to y'all. I don't know. Folks may say, make it make sense. And so while we're watching that on one side, here is one of the reasons we are here, and one of the reasons we saw this commotion here at GECOM High Street location, where ACNU supporters have gathered, WIN supporters have gathered, PPP supporters have gathered here. as well. This is just off Finance, Ministry of Finance. You are coming down High Street, heading to GECOM. A number of supporters along the entire expanse of the real estate there. As you come along, heading to GECOM, the road has been blocked up there. There's a number of police officials in that direction. But we've learned that the We Invest in Nationhood party, led by businessman Ashruddin Mohammed, they're alleging that their party agents report that boxes from Region 8 have been tampered with. They said some boxes have come out of Region 8, and those boxes only have the PPP seals on them, and some boxes have no seals at all. Now, these are the allegations that are being put out there. A number of boxes have come from Region 8, and those boxes have come without any seals on them. And that is that is what we're following. And that, as far as all of this commotion here that we saw early on social media, and we want to make sure that we come and bring it live for you folks. What is happening here? Now, if we don't interrogate this electoral process, you see, this is stemming from some other stuff of recent vintage, and this should not be. If we all signed off and sealed and cross-check and all of that, now this is quite an oversight. You say everybody forget. It's only PPP. Remember to put their seals on these ballot boxes. It's only the PPP. Now, this is the information we are following at this hour, that a number of these ballot boxes came out of Region 8 without the requisite security features on them. And it's a number of things, folks, as we move along. We are learning, because just this morning there were a number of people reaching out to us, a number of our own agents in the APNU camp, stating that they were put out of polling stations as we were raising these issues in another broadcast, that they were put out of polling stations and all manner of untoward things. Now, I want you to know this. Once that final declaration is made by GECOM, everything else, all your other complaints, has to go via an election petition. All of your other complaints has to go via an elections petition. And that is why the folks are doing what they're doing now, putting these issues forward, because there's no time frame on perhaps when an election petition can be heard, should be heard, must be heard. And so you have to make these claims now within the stipulated time frame and try to get some movement on them via GECOM. Folks, this is where we are at this evening, that the Win Party has alleged that their agents report some tampering of those boxes coming from Region 8. These are the allegations that has brought us out here this evening. This is what we're following. We're on the ground, on the apron of GECOM, following up on some of these issues. As I said, there are a number of persons who have gathered here as well. Folks, a number of the APNU supporters, a number of the WIN supporters, a number of PP supporters are here as well in this kind of a standoff, everybody watching each other. Now, I encourage you folks to go through some of that, some of the content from those, what do you call them, the international observer missions. The content is rich, and they talk about the polarized environment in this country. They talk about the politicized environment at GECOM. We didn't see the chairman yet. Where's the chairman of GECOM? They talk about all these things. They talk about the advantage that the incumbent have, the wanton use of state resources, and all of that. Now, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. So again, this is what has brought us here. The Win Party, they have said, their agents have said, they are reporting that ballot boxes came out of Region 8. Locks are tampered with. They don't have the requisite seals on them, their seals on them. And in some instances, the allegation is that these boxes just have the PPP seals on them. So interesting times is what we're following. I wish to God we were making some of this up. But this is information we have received. This is what has brought us on the ground here, and this is what we're following. For the folks in studio, we'd love if you can take the graphic off. I want to be seen. I want the whole screen for myself. Thank you so much. But folks, this is what has brought us out here this evening. And if we see any of our colleagues or anybody we think you should hear from, we are going to call on them to walk us through what they know, because we know we have some. We're from my vantage point, I can see some of our folks a little closer to the GECOM entrance beyond where you have this barricade here. Now, again, we are on High Street here, High Street Kingston, just off from the Ministry of Finance. You're heading as though you're heading to Pegasus, you're heading to the Marriott here. As soon as you cross over, that is the real estate that's being occupied now by new supporters. We have some wind supporters here as well, and we also have quite a few PPP supported here in this wait and see as this recount exercise is happening here at GECOM High Street location. This is ballot by ballot what is happening here. And good to see so many of you on the live. The international observation missions did commend GECOM for making some strides in terms of making the system better. But if 100 recommendations were made after the 2020 elections, perhaps 2 or 3 of them were implemented by GECOM, and that was also raised as a concern. So perhaps the plethora of recommendations that have already come in the preliminary reporting of these international observer missions will also go on some shelf cobweb. And that is what people have been saying. If we want a smooth process, if we want transparency, if we want credibility in these elections, then we have to do a number of things. And one of the major things the parties, the international observer missions have been talking about is cleaning up the voters list. And the Carter Center, I think it was the Carter Center who raised this very frontally. And perhaps if we have a clean voters list that the People's Progressive Party asked for in 2015, we would not have these kinds of challenges and these kinds of doubts occurring in the electoral system in terms of the quantum nature of it now, and that has brought us out here this evening. If we had a better system now, if we want credibility in our elections across the political divide in this country, this is the direction we will have to go in. This is the direction we will have to go in. And as I said, a number of persons have gathered here. This is the GECOM High Street location. Immediately behind me, you will see some of the active supporters, and a little past them, we have some of the PUP supporters gathered, and then I think this is to my right, well, to my left now that I've turned, you have some of the WIN supporters who are gathered close by here as well. This is what we're following on the ground here. The entire Region 4 is being counted. We were looking at some of it earlier. Box by box, a number of persons are stationed at GECOM to get this exercise done as expeditiously as they can, folks. And it's just some of what we're following, especially these allegations that are being made by the We Invest in Guyana party. And if any of their folks are watching us and want to come across and walk us through some of these issues, we invite you guys to do so. But the folks who are watching us, Joy and Sadie and Claudette and all the other folks, this is Claudette Henry, not the other Claudette. She's probably watching too. We encourage you to share the broadcast. We want to get the vital level information as possible. We are live outside of GECOM High Street locations. Please stay right where you are. We are live. Here we are outside of GECOM. I'm trying to get a sense of what's happening here. I see some of the folks that are getting a little closer to the barrier. Not too certain if something is about. I'm going to get some other movements here. But this is what's happening, folks. I put a little bit aside so you get a good view of what's happening behind us here. A number of Apple supporters are here. A number of the Win Party supporters are here as well. A number of PUP supporters have gathered here outside of the GECOM High Street location. And for now, folks, it looks like it's a wait and see. And we're gonna stay for a little longer to see if we have any movement. We're gonna stay a little longer here and continue to bring you coverage. I can see some of our colleagues in the media a little closer to the GCAP entrance. And the entire leadership here from about Lamaha Street as you come across, coming over to GCAP is taken up by supporters from these different parties here. And of course, if you're now joining us, we are on the High Street location for GCAP headquarters, watching the events unfold here. And beyond all of this, inside GCAP, there is the um, recount happening there, requested by the APNU, I think Region 8. Our last check on that is that the request for the recount to Region 8 by the We Invest in Nationhood Party, that recount was denied. I think 7 is going to be recounted, 5 is going to be recounted as well. And so whether the government exercises restraint, a very good evening, whether the incumbent exercises as restraint and does not go in the direction of a swearing in remains to be seen. Whether the exercise and restraint not to go in the direction of a swearing in while the recount is happening remains to be seen, folks. But as we have it, you are going to have it as well for folks. Some of the events we watch out here as we speak. A number of active supporters, a number of WIN supporters, a number of PUP supporters gathered here at the GCOM High Street location. A number of police ranks also on the ground here. Right. I see. I'm gonna have to shout a little bit. I see one of our colleagues I'd love to talk to. I'm trying to get her attention. You're gonna know her. Let me see if I get her. Let me see if I can get her. She's been integral in this. Folks, folks, folks here. Chanel coming out. Could you grab her for me? Yeah, look, she's right there in there. Look, she's walking there. Let me see if I can quiz her quickly. A very good evening. Chanel, I need you. All right. Adriana, come and give me some comments. What are we out here for if we're not giving comments to the public? Look, please hold the mic and tell us what has brought you out here this evening.
Could you give me a
Adriana Thomas, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
Here with us, activist Adriana Thomas. As I said, a number of parties. I saw Chanel. She's asked for a couple of minutes. She's trying to get some of the other persons who were part of this process here home. Are you ready?
Yes, sure.
Just hold on to this. Let me make sure it's good for you.
Sure.
And you're good to go. Now, what is happening here? Folks, Adriana Chalmers, activist Adriana Chalmers, involved in lots of the social issues in this country. Tell us what's happening here.
I am, well, as you know, I'm a part of I'm supporting the WP as a part of CTNU.
Excellent.
And so we came out here to support our colleagues inside of GECOM who are doing the recount, as well as to show support to our leader, Mr. Aubrey Norton. We think that at this time he needs our support, so we're out here to let him know that we support you. We support our party, the Partnership for National Unity, and we support the process that is being carried out in GECOM.
Adriana, I'll kind of put you on the spot here, but since you've been part of this recount here, what are some of the issues that you've been hearing?
Some of the things are, like, for example, somebody was saying that I have to be careful because I don't want to release information that would arouse emotions unnecessarily. But I think that the process is they are finding discrepancies. I don't want to go into detail as to the discrepancies. And they are finding some discrepancies. And they are, as to whether the extent of the discrepancies, we can't determine at this point. But what we do know is that this count is going to continue. And I think after this region 5, they will start counting region 5. I think they're still counting region 4, I think. And then they're going to start counting region 5, because I know some persons were already waiting to participate in the region 5 count. And they I think inside of GCOM, I was in there just now, sort of doing an assessment of the atmosphere in there. And they are, I think all the relevant parties are represented in there. They have representatives who are witnessing there and participating in the count, as well as they have, I see also party officials. I saw some senior people from the um, the PP. I also see some people from Apple. I see senior people also from WIN in there. So at very senior levels. And out here, what I can say is I tell somebody that I'm out here kind of quote unquote like a psychoanalyst, do some psychoanalyzing what's happening in a way. And um, they and so we have a group out here from WIN, from the PPPC, and we have a group from Apple, and they've all taken up sort of three camps. And it was interesting. Somebody asked me just now, why are the people out here? And I said to them that what do they what do they expect out of being out here? And I said to them that these people are out here because of the lack of institutional trust. And this is the lack of institutional trust at the level of the Ghana Elections Commission, lack of institutional trust at the level of the judiciary, lack of institutional trust at the level of the government. And I'll also tell you what I'm sensing out here. There's a fear, and it's something that any government, whichever government gets in as a result of the declaration from this election, they have to do some serious they have to be humanized, because what I'm sensing is that there's a fear. There's a fear, and I'll be frank, Sarah. Permit me to be. There's a fear that if they that what the next 5 years will be like. There's a real fear. And I think that people should not be afraid of their government. People should not be afraid of not being able to. There's a fear that inequities will continue. There's a fear that discrimination, victimization will continue. There's a fear that that there's a fear that people will be dehumanized. And so I think that to answer the question when the person asks me, why are these people out here? And what do they hope to achieve? They're out here also because they're afraid.
We have the lived experience of the last 5 years.
We've had, and people are afraid of reliving the next 5 years. And I think there are two key elements. One is in terms of inequitable distribution of resources. We've seen over the past 5 years that Ghana doesn't have money. Ghana has a lot of money, but yet people are afraid that they may be brought to the point where they have to take their bowl. Somebody told me that over the next 5 years, we may have to take our plate and say, feed me. So people are afraid. The other thing they're afraid of is being dehumanized. I think despite our challenges prior to 2020, we've been more or less a rights-based society. We've respected the rights of citizens. And I think even at the level of the judiciary now, and this is something, if there are people in the judiciary who are listening to me, people are thinking now that the judiciary has become more pro-elite, pro-rich, as against ensuring that the rights of every citizen, irrespective of whether they're poor or rich, are upheld. So there are all of those fears. And So those are some of the reasons why I sense that people are out here. Um, Finally, I'd like to say is whichever government gets into power after the declaration is made, I think the last government has brushed off claims of victimization, discrimination, lack of respect for rights. And I think that the next government must um, must take seriously the these are real issues. People are being discriminated against. People are being victimized. Yourself, you are victimized. I have seen the ERC charge you, right, with the Cybercrime Act, and not others who would have said um, worse things. Right. And so, what we would like to see, I think we need to start talking about scenarios. And if this happens, if this government, if this is what the government is going to be for the next 5 years, what would we like to see? And if we don't see those things, what would we do? For example, I would say, Sharon, I would like to see people. Am I talking to you?
No, no, right ahead. Right ahead.
Okay. I would like to see, for example, the Cybercrime Act. I think that Black people are disproportionately affected by the Cybercrime Act because culturally, Black people are more expressive. Their communication is more expressed as against Indo-Guyanese, whose communication is more implied. So, for a Cybercrime Act, for example, or cybercrime law, Black people will be disproportionately affected
Yeah.
than Indo-Guyanese or other races, Amerindian Guyanese or Portuguese, Chinese, because Black people, by culturally, their communication is more expressed than implied.
Yeah. And if I may say, I think there was the suggestion by the current government that they wanted to review that, but like so many other things, never got around to doing it in the last 5 years. And so, however, this shakes out. If we remain in the opposition, even that has to be under serious reconsideration on our approach to and how we continue to hold this government accountable. I remember a senior politician saying that the nature of the struggle has changed, and we have to adapt for a different age and a different time, and continue to represent while continuing to represent our people very, very strongly.
Absolutely. And I can tell you this that, you know, we were doing an analysis, a brief analysis of um, what impacted let's say, the opposition negatively in this election. And we came up with three things. And I'll tell you one. One is, one of the things we came up with is that from 2020 to 2025, it is felt that the opposition supporters needed representation, stronger representation. Because when the government comes at you with GRA, with the force and the power of the state, a political response is needed. And some people are saying we need a strong civil society, but even if we have a strong civil society, they don't underestimate the power of the state. Look, for example, what happened to the Human Rights Association. Then, if the civil society organizations come up against the government, look what happened to Ipajije.
Yeah.
The government can then call for a forensic audit. They can set the Guyana Revenue Authority on the civil society organization. So it is felt that there needed to be a stronger political response to the some of the actions that was meted out to supporters of not just supporters, citizens. And even the private sector, there's a fear among private sector businesses that if they challenge the government, that the government set GRA on them, they can send agency. There is that fear. So the strong opposition is where the political response should be. And I said that to say that the next 5 years, if we should remain in opposition, then we must make it very clear to the government that the status quo will not continue. That we must make it very clear what you did in Maka. Don't try it over the next 5 years. We must make it clear to the government that what you did at Hillfoot, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
We must make it clear to the government
is what
that exactly
Yeah.
that the business community must be able to speak out and challenge the government without having to think that their businesses will be affected. We must make it clear to the government that over the next 5 years, the civil society organizations must be able to challenge the government. Civil society, by its very nature, they are the public sector is driven by rights. The private sector is driven by profits, and the civil society sector is driven by values. So when the rights of citizens are not upheld, the civil society that is driven by values, they're going to challenge the government to ensure that these rights are upheld. So to have a weak civil society or to intimidate the society, right, it means that what you're doing, you're preventing civil society from doing what by their very nature they're supposed to do, which is they're values driven. And so over the next 5 years, we must ensure that the government understands, if let's assuming that this is the government that we will have for the next 5 years, civil society, the trade unions, they're driven by values. If the rights of workers are not respected, they are going to challenge the government.
Yeah.
And so I think that we have to start making it very clear what, if we're going to remain in the opposition, what our position will be. And lastly, Sherrod, on this, we have to start making it very clear to the government that about as it relates to equitable distribution of resources. I think one of the things, and this is where I think we've accepted a lot. For example, when the government took away the salaries from parliamentarians, that must not happen over the next 5 years. You understand?
Yeah.
These parliamentarians
Yeah,
are the leaders. You understand?
Yeah,
exactly. And if you allow a government, I'm speaking my heart here. If you allow a government to take away the bread from your leaders and you don't challenge it with a certain kind of response, then what are they going to do with the citizens? And I'll tell you this: when we were protesting for the chancellor and the chief justice, right? Somebody said, why y'all out here protesting for the chancellor and the chief justice? And I said, if by the click of a finger, the president or the government can remove the chancellor and the chief justice, both of them with one sweep, and put who they want to put there, try to think what they will do with us, ordinary citizens.
But as we wrap up,
yes,
I keep looking because I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm hearing different things. I'm seeing different things happening behind us. The winning supporters have gotten a little vocal at the back of us. But as we wrap up, folks, I want to underscore by two instances. One, the nurses in Linden, they had their salaries cut for protesting.
Yes.
That salary has not been remitted to them. That's still a court matter.
Yes.
The teachers, the union dues, was ordered to be sent to the union,
Yes.
transmitted by the government. That's a court matter that still has not happened as yet.
Yes.
So we're talking economic issues here, and just to underscore the point that you're making, Agent.
And my last point, Sherrod, I'll tell you this. On that note, in terms of the nurses, we have seen the government close down the Rosa
The Charles Rosa Nursing
Charles
School.
Rosa Nursery School.
Nursing School.
Nursing school,
Yeah.
by the way. Sorry, nursing school. And bring out in foreigners. Let me tell you, Sherrod, this government has done some disrespectful things to us as Guyanese over the past 5 years. And we must begin to send a clear message that the next 5 years, these things that they did over the past 5 years, our tolerance level is very low, and for the things that they did over the past 5 years. And we must make it very clear to the government that we expect that if this government should go back into there, that it must be very clear that we expect to have an inclusive society. We expect to have for the resources to be distributed more equitably.
Yeah.
We
Inclusivity.
more inclusivity, exactly. And so we must start to signal those things from now, and to say that you had 5 years of honeymoon. This 5 years, honeymoon over.
Yeah.
And we must meet it.
We don't need any honeymoon now.
You don't need,
You've been in
exactly.
there. You've been in there.
Exactly. But I know that you want to go and see what they
I'm just looking around. Thank you so much, Adriana, for stopping by and giving us your thoughts. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome, Sharon. Thank you for the hard work, the wonderful work. To your viewers, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
All right. Thank you for your kind thoughts. All right, folks. Civil society thought leader and activist Adriana Thomas talking to us there. A number of folks again on the ground behind us. We didn't even want to sign off, leave something happened, and we're not here to cover it. But as I said, there are still a number of WIN supporters here, APNU supporters here, and PPP supporters here at the High Street headquarters of GECOM, the Ghana Elections Commission. The recount of Region 4 is ongoing. They're going to push this as long as possible. I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're working in shifts here. That is my understanding. They want to complete it as quick as possible. As you heard, Adriana said as well, Adriana, you got Region 5 is going to be recounted as well. And now I think 77 of 100 plus boxes, 77 of 100 plus boxes are going to be recounted from Region 5. The WIN team were trying to, but they were trying to get region 8 to be recounted as well. I don't think that is going to be done. But folks, you've joined us here this evening, and we're grateful for that. We are just on the apron of the Ghana Elections Commission High Street location, where a number of the major party supporters have gathered here. A lot of them were a little perturbed when allegedly boxes came from Region 8 without the party seals on them, just the PVP seal. The Little Rock is here when they realized that that had happened. And folks, that brought us down. And remember, folks are still on the ground here. It's just after 9 o'clock here in downtown Georgetown. And we are watching events unfold here this evening. I do see Nima. I do see our sister Nima. Look at. We're going to try to get a comment from Nima as we see here. Nima, thank you for coming and giving us a comment. Tell us what's happening. Folks, we have our very own Nima. Look back. Nima, what is happening there? I know you've been part of what's happening. Give us a quick rundown for our viewers who are watching us. Grab this mic, stand right where you are, and let us have it. What's happening at the back? You were in the recount?
I was in the recount. I did one of the counting for, I think it was Kenmore.
Uh-huh.
And so far at my table everything is okay, but they are every now and again objections being made to different things.
What are some of those objections? Walk our viewers through some of that.
I can't give a detail as to exactly what were some of the objections.
I know I caught you on the fly, so I can appreciate that. But if you can give the general sweep of maybe what
But it
happening.
appears that when objections are made, the GECOM personnel seems to be really looking for the PPP.
Mhm.
So you find that because of that, you have a lot of noise and people will continue to protest that there is not fairness in judging what is happening. But if they continue to tarry in the process, I say the guy needs that to tarry. This is a process that we must go through or we have to go through.
It's a legal process.
Because stand and stand guard to protect our votes and by extension protect the people from this people. So
Nima, as you said, we must continue to tarry. Nima's worked very hard on the East Bank for us. Nima, thank you for your efforts and has been working in the recount center here, as she said, to get the Nima. Thank you. I know I called this for a moment. Thank you so much. Folks, our very own Nima Flubas joining us here, and we think here is where we're going to leave it. I hope the folks are still in studio helping us out this evening, and they haven't gone home and listened this on their own. Folks from downtown Georgetown on the apron of the Ghana Elections Commission, the High Street headquarters. We're going to leave it there for this evening. And if anything else changes, we're going to have to come back. Keep you guys updated. Thank you so much for joining us. That's our time. That's our broad. Good evening, folks. That's our time and that's our broadcast. See you soon.